What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's the Triforce Project, and today we are going over the first Alpha 21 dev stream that came out just a few days ago on Twitch, and now it is on YouTube as well. This was hosted by Lathan on his Twitch, which is Fubar Prime, and then Joel and Rick were also there, the two co-founders of the Fun Pimps. So I'm not going to be sharing any video footage from the stream or anything like that. I will link or I will put a link in the description to the video. But really we're just going to kind of give a quick overview of what came out, or what they've kind of talked about. You can see the list over to my left, your right on the screen is kind of a little breakdown of what we got, and kind of in the order of how we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to stop rambling here and we're going to get right into it. They kind of led off the stream talking about Alpha 20.7, which is supposed to be coming out here relatively soon. Basically what that's going to do is supposedly make a pretty smooth transition from Alpha 20 to 21. Supposedly, of course, supposed to just kind of clean up any possible issues that could happen with the new systems being added in, things like that. With that, they did mention Alpha 21 is the biggest update to date, size-wise, content-wise, which they've kind of been saying that for a lot of the past alphas, and they really kind of have been pretty big. They then went on to talk about the team, some things about that. It's kind of the biggest team to date. They got, I believe it was Decagon doing some work with them. And then they also have another team we'll talk about a little later towards the end of the video with the console update, because that's a big deal, especially for you console players who, if you're like me, I started out playing this game on console, and now I do play it on PC now. It is it's always got a special heart for me on console, so we got some good and some maybe not so good news about that, but that'll be covered a little later. So the next kind of thing they go into is the new trader updates. So they've kind of dove in. Sounds like they took a lot of Alpha 21, and it will be parts of Alpha 22 as well. And really dove into the history and kind of the background of all of the traders. They started with Trader Rect, but they showed us both Trader Rect and Trader Bob's Place. Excuse me. From the live stream, and there's a few additions in the traders now for things to come. First off, they made the traders look a lot bigger. They added a better fencing around, I believe it was both Trader Rect and Bob. Their walls look different. It's more of a chain link fence now that's been kind of upgraded. They've added some like metal plating on the outside of it. It looks pretty nice. Like I said, they made the traders bigger, so they actually take up a larger footprint on the map. And they've also added a helipad, which, if you saw my previous video on this about their tweets, they shared some screenshots of one of the traders. We saw a picture of the helipad. They did mention that the helipad has something to do with the story in Alpha 22. We'll get to learn more about it in Alpha 22. So that's kind of a big deal. Big little thing they dropped, I guess. Other YouTubers kind of speculated it's going to be some sort of like fast travel idea, which I think is kind of cool. It's not a bad choice. I don't necessarily think we need a fast travel system. The maps aren't that big, and with the vehicles we can get around pretty well. I can understand it though, but hopefully it's not just a fast travel system. I hope there's some other implication to it for the stories and for the game, because they keep on talking about how they really want to build on the storylines and how they want to kind of build on the backstories of all the traders. So I really hope They can do a lot more of that with Alpha 22 if they really get to do that. They also at Trader Rec showed off the destroyed versions of the new Workbench model and the new Forge model. Looks pretty good. They mentioned they have been getting questions about if when adding the different forge tools that you need, like the crucible or the anvil and things like that, if you'll be able to see them. And it doesn't sound like you will be able to, but it sounds like that's something that they want to work on for future alphas. So maybe in the future we'll be able to actually notice if we have the anvil added or the crucible or things like that to our forges. And presumably they would do that with the workbenches and the chem stations, I would think. But maybe not, we'll see. Then later on, we're just going to cover all traders right now. Later on in the video also showed off Trader Bob's compound, which that was the ones we got pictures of, I believe, through Twitter. And I mentioned in the other video, there's a spot that kind of looked like it was a shooting range off to this right side of the counter. It was not a shooting range, it leads to a garage, which makes sense because Trader Bob is the vehicle trader. So that's kind of his specialty. So it's a newly designed garage of his. He has all the vehicles that are craftable there on display, so you can kind of see it. Shows new players this is what you can kind of work towards. They did really well with the atmosphere of the places. They made Rex Place really look like he is big into like growing crops and like alcohol, which I guess is something that is in his lore. And then they made Trader Bob's compound really focus on vehicles and mechanics and not tools, but like parts and things like that. It just looks really cool. Like Trader Bob's sign is brand new and it's made out of all different salvaged parts. It looks really cool. It's called Bob's Salvage, which we actually saw in the pictures on Twitter. But yeah, that's sounds like they're really trying to delve deep into the traders and double down on their like specialties, basically. They'd mentioned that we're gonna have a few more dev streams. They kind of dropped a bomb on us. Wow, I can't talk today. Saying that they are planning to get this Alpha 21 released sometime in May, which is a little sooner than I thought it was going to happen. Again, they just mentioned it. That can definitely change. They don't feel like things are ready, so don't take that to heart or take that with a grain of salt, however you want to kind of accept that. That's what they're shooting for. I don't know if they're actually going to get it, but we'll see. The sooner the better, in my opinion. I'm all for it. But they did say that the next stream is going to be a dev stream with the artists, talking about, I believe it's more so some of the new textures and new objects they've kind of put into the game. And then I feel like in a stream or two we'll get the dev stream with the POI creators, because we got some new POIs with this as well. One big thing they showed off in this dev stream was a load of doors. There are so many new doors in this alpha, guys. I don't even know how to begin. It literally looked like they had hundreds, if not thousands, of new different types of doors. We now get double doors. Finally got those, and working double doors that I believe we can craft and use in our bases, which that just opens up a ton of different things, ton of different layouts and design ideas we can do now. Also, that helps for any of you OCD people like me when it comes to base building, and you got to try and keep everything even. Now we can have double doors, so we don't have to do two singles next to each other, or we can do, different size buildings. We can do things that are more of even numbers, things like that. There's new garage doors, there's roll-up wooden doors, ones with windows, ones without windows, there's metal ones as well, glass doors, there's even elevator doors. Like, there's a ton of new doors. They also got to show off the new system with doors, So now currently in the game, if you're breaking down a door and a hole forms in it, you try to swing through that hole, you don't do any damage. You just hit the door and you keep on breaking until the door is broken. They have updated that now, where if there's a hole in a door, you can swing through that hole and damage something on the other side, and vice versa. They can swing through and hit you. So that's pretty cool. It's a nice kind of quality of life update I think that they needed to add. So that'll be fun to play with. Makes doors a little bit better instead of doing the door trick of letting them hit the door, quick opening it, stabbing them, closing the door, and doing that again. You can at least just get the hole open in the door and stab them right through that. They changed the background on the menu again. I believe Guns, Nerds, and Seal brings it up in his video, which he released earlier this week, like right after the stream. Pretty uneventful, not really much to talk about. They did mention, like I said, they got about 100 new POIs that are coming in Alpha 21. A bunch of a bunch of notable tier 5s have been updated. They also, one of them that they showcased was Prison 01, which to me I believe is a new POI. It has not been in the game previously, or maybe they completely updated it and I just haven't seen it really much in the past while playing. But it is a pretty intense looking POI. It's a really cool prison. It gave me, when they showed it off, it kind of gave me some Walking Dead vibes in my opinion. So it'll definitely be a cool one I think to do a playthrough in, maybe set up as your home base. And they mentioned something about like not really having raid POIs, but this was kind of similar to a raid POI in their mind, but didn't call it a raid POI. It looks very difficult. There's a lot of zombies. They said that you definitely need to be leveled up to do this one, and maybe even bring a friend to do it. So that's pretty cool. I'm really pumped that they're updating POIs and adding more POIs. That just keeps the game fresh. Once you start doing random gen maps, just you have any chance to get, any of those POIs. So that's a good thing. More POIs is good in my opinion. You also now get to see the name of every POI, so that's kind of a big deal I think. Also, in the upper right hand corner of your screen now when playing, it'll show you the name of the POI, its difficulty with the red skulls, and then your biome difficulty, which are the orange skulls. And that is the new kind of what I believe they're kind of calling a quality of life update, more so geared for new players. But it'll help some veterans as well. You can have an idea of where you're at and see what POI you're at, see what difficulty it is. The red skulls will indicate what tier it is. So if there's 3 red skulls, that means it's tier 3 POI. 1 red skull, tier 1, so on and so forth. And then the orange skulls are your biome difficulties. So if you're in the pine forest, there's no orange skulls because it's just regular ×1 loot. The desert would be 1 orange skull for 1.5 times loot or whatever, and so on and so forth, all the way up to the 3 or whatever it is for the wasteland. Kind of a nice little thing, not really necessary in my opinion. It will be cool to know the names of places and what tier they are though. I do like that concept, so that's cool. They also mentioned a little bit about some new food label containers, wall art, trader flags redone, a lot of packaging has redone. We saw the new, what's the thing? Oh, the new vending machine, that's what I'm trying to say. They posted that on Twitter, so we saw that picture earlier. But they got a lot of new updates like that. That's what it sounds like a lot of this update was kind of a art update to an extent. There's obviously other things. We got some core gameplay changes as well, but there's a lot of art that was added. The next thing we got, and this is kind of a big thing, we've had kind of the same quests in this game for quite some time. So we got a new quest type that they talked about. It's called Infested. This is gonna be fun. I mean, we got the new restore power quest. I think that was in alpha 20. We got the restore power. Maybe it was alpha 19. Can't actually remember. So they've really been talking about and trying to keep up with getting some new quest types into the game, which is also a great thing. But basically, what an infested quest is it boosts the in the most basic terms possible to explain this. It boosts the tier of a POI up 1 level. Essentially. So if you have a tier 1 infestation, that is basically like doing a tier 2 quest. It's going to have the amount of zombies for a tier 2, and the loot is scaled, I think, up to a tier 2, or maybe it's between a tier 1 and a tier 2, so you get a little better loot. I think they mentioned something about an extra like some extra loot at the end of these, because they are a little more difficult. But I really like the idea. Excuse me. I really like the concept, really like the idea. I think it's a great addition, and I think it'll be at least fun to try out a couple times here. Just trying to take the idea of, do I want to go and get that extra XP for all the extra zombies we're going to take care of? Because essentially what an infested quest is it's a clear quest. So if you want to get those extra zombie kills, or do I want to try and play it safe and maybe take an actual tier 1? Yeah, that'll just be fun. They also did drop that they're adding tier 6 missions now, so I have no idea what those are going to be like, but they made it sound like they're going to be pretty difficult, so be ready for that, guys. Now the other thing that they talked about a decent amount in this stream, that we've known about for a little while, is the progression system overhaul, or the progression system change, the learn by looting, I believe is what they're calling it now. And basically what it is you're gonna be looting magazines to gain levels to craft things. Now it's kind of confusing, and they explain it a lot better. It's really good with the video to watch and see. But basically each skill now is garnered into magazines, and there's tons of magazines per skill. So like for like mining tools is its own skill. You have to read a certain amount of magazines to like be able to craft the next level of like stone pickaxe. We'll just start with that. You can, or a stone axe. You can craft a level 1 stone axe to start. But after you read, I think it's like 3 or 4 of these magazines, you can now craft a level 2 stone axe. And once you get to 11 magazines read, you can now craft a level 1, or no, level 5 stone axe. But once you read, it's like 14 magazines or something like, or no, yes, okay, excuse me, sorry. So I think it's once you read 10 magazines, you're at level 10 for, or level 5 for your stone axe. And then once you read that 11th magazine, you can craft an iron pickaxe. So now you got to make the decision of, do I want to make a level 1 iron pickaxe and lose any mods basically, other than one that I have on my stone pickaxe or stone axe, or do I want to stick with my stone axe for a little bit longer and maybe save up until I find a few more books where I could craft a level 2 or a level 3 iron pickaxe. So it changes because currently in the game, once you start leveling, like once you can craft a level 3 stone pickaxe or stone axe, you can craft a level 3 iron axe, you can craft a level iron pickaxe. It's the same tier throughout. It doesn't matter what like era of tools you're in, or guns are the same way. So once you can craft that level 5 double barrel shotgun, you can craft a level 5 pump shotgun, level 5 auto shotgun. So they want to curb people from just jumping straight from like the worst weapon to the best. They want you to actually progress through all of these different tiers of tools and weapons and things. So it takes a little bit longer, but it actually makes sense, you know, which I understand, I get. I don't really have a problem with it. I think it'll be fun. I think it'll slow the game down just a little bit, make you kind of play the game and not just, I mean, obviously there's going to be a meta, but it's not going to have people just going straight for the meta. And I'm just going to stick with one thing and do this forever till I can get the best crafting items or craftable items, and then I'll just make all that, and then I don't need to worry about it. It's going to make you actually have to craft, you know, that double barrel shotgun, and then a level 2, and a level 3, and a level 4. And then once you get to there to level 5, you're like, oh, do I want to craft a level 1 pump? Or I have this double barrel that's doing pretty good with all these attachments on it, or whatever. Maybe we'll just hold off. Same thing goes now for early game. I think this will help in early game for solo players. Now this is a big, there's already been people like Wayward Echo, I think he talks about it in his video recapping this, that this looting system greatly damages community play, where they have teams of builders and teams of looters, where teams of builders will not have the magazines to level up to get the better building tools early on, whereas they'll have to depend on the the looters to find those magazines for them and bring them back. And the fun pimps kind of dismiss this as a way, or in a way, by saying like, they didn't really know anyone that plays that way, and they don't really think that anyone should be playing without looting, essentially. And I think that's just kind of a poor take on the concept. They basically are just saying, like, if you aren't playing the game our way, you're not playing it right. And like, I don't think that's fair. There's some people that just choose not to do the combat and the looting and stuff. For example, I don't think my girlfriend would really want to go out and do the quests and the missions with me, but I think she'd maybe want to build our base and maybe do the painting around our base and organizing things and like crafting things, maybe. But with this, like, she won't be able to build all the best tools unless she goes out and gets magazines, or I'm out getting magazines for her and bring them back. So that kind of puts a damper on it. Maybe something will be addressed on that in the future. I don't know. We'll see. I do think this helps for a solo player, though. I think this can really change and make the early game pretty versatile of what you need to do. Currently, you kind of got to pick, like, if you're going to do anything in particular other than strength, which you really need strength in the game now, because you need that sexy T-Rex, which you guys haven't heard. First off, not sure how you haven't heard, you must be living under a rock, but they're getting rid of sexy T-Rex in Alpha 21, Alpha 21. Sexy Rex is gone. So that's a thing of the past that's going to be implemented into a different perk for each weapon type. So that'll be something that is covered in the future. But honestly, I'm going to just let you guys go and look that up by other YouTubers who have covered it way better than I ever could already. So I'm not even going to try and explain it, like what they do. But go look at IZ pre-built, or Guns, Nerds, and Steel, I think, has a video on it, and Wayward Echo, I believe, does as well. Anyways, not the point. What I was saying is this looting system might change the early game for solo players now, because you might find a few magazines early on for a weapon that you weren't technically like using or going to use to start with. Maybe that'd be blades or even bows, or which I recommend using a bow for early on, having one, just have ranged. But yeah, you could have blades and you're predominantly a sledgehammer or a club person, or spears, which nobody plays spears right now because spears suck, but spears are getting a buff in this alpha as well, so they're going to be actually usable. But maybe you get 3 or 4 spear books early on from a crack book that you come by, or spear magazines. Now they're not books anymore. But yeah, maybe you find a few of those, so now you can craft a level 3 wood spear or stone spear, and it's better than your level 1 club. So now you kind of go into a spear run, or like different things. Maybe you get some brawling books, so you can do craft some level 3 leather wraps. There's just so many more things that you can have happen to you early on to kind of dictate your gameplay that just isn't really possible right now, I think, with how the game plays out and how the meta works, where you need strength, you need that sexual Tyrannosaurus to be able to really do like anything with stamina. So I'm excited for that. It'll be nice to see the difference. It sounds like it's gonna make progression take a little bit longer, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with a little longer progression, to be honest. We'll really have to see, obviously, when it comes out, if what it actually does, but I'm down to try it. They also mentioned something called a trader stage. So they've removed, is it Lucky Looter? Or they removed one other skill, I believe, too. I can't remember. They also removed the trader hidden stash. That's not a thing anymore. But they have this trader stage, and that basically is going to govern what the trader will have for sale, and then like how you will be able to, like how you'll be able to purchase things. But it'll kind of govern what they're showing to you, and it's basically gonna balance the game, so you can't, basically there's no more day one motorcycles. You can't try and save up 20 grand to buy a motorcycle by day 3 before the trader resets. Apparently it sounds like the traders now will have stuff just slightly above what you can craft, but nothing too overpowered where it's gonna make you kind of an OP legend right where you're at. So it's stuff that you kind of want to buy, but it's not gonna like, it's not too broken. Joel mentioned this, and like he said that like he is now broke like all the time in his playthroughs because he finds so many things that he wants to buy from the trader that he can use or that he thinks is better, and things, which, you know, whatever, if that's the case, cool, I'm all for it, because you get to a point usually by like the 3rd week in game where you have basically unlimited amounts of money from the amount of loot you have and the things you sell, because you just don't need things. You only need your certain couple ammo types, even if it is you're using all 3, or all 4 ammo types. Like, you don't need that much. Everything else just gets sold. You get your best weapons, your best armor, you know, it's pretty minimal what you actually need. So yeah, I mean, we'll have to see how that goes, if there really is like enough things in the trader to make you spend your money, if they really do have the better shotgun or the better items that are just good enough for you to want to buy them, because it always comes down to price. I always feel like a lot of the things are super overpriced in the trader compound. Also, we're just gonna take a quick little thing here. The world generation, it's supposedly supposed to be 4 to 5 times faster than before. I think there's a lot of things that kind of play a role in how fast your world generator is. So if you have a good PC, it'll generate probably a lot quicker than someone with a lower end PC. I'm guessing consoles are going to take a while to generate, because like I said, big thing coming up last year, console update. Like Lathan showed him generating a map in the stream here. Took him about 4 to 5 minutes, excuse me, to generate it. Oh, excuse me, sorry about that. But without knowing like the logistics of the map and everything, I'm pretty sure he made just like a basic 8K map. Nothing too crazy, not overly large with like cities or like things like that. I would assume Lathan has a pretty good PC setup. Nothing, well, he might have something super fancy, but I would assume it's a pretty modest, well, not modest, but pretty relatively high-end rig. So that probably, or not probably, that definitely has something to do with how well it generated the map. They've mentioned that there's much better road smoothing now, so gone are the times of the random weird dirt road that leads out to one POI, a wilderness POI, and then just kind of continues off into the middle of nowhere and stops. Roads do link up and they look pretty natural for these like wilderness POIs now. It's a pretty good thing. There's also a new button that allows the player to immediately play the map that you just generated, so you don't have to remember what the name of the map was when you go to create a new game, which is a pretty cool thing. That's something, one of those quality of life things that I think probably should have been in the game a long time ago. It is one of those things though that you don't really think you need until they bring it up. Because there's been plenty of times where I've like forgotten what the name of my map was because they just make random names for it. And then now kind of the last thing we're going to go over that they talked about. They did a whole Q&A and stuff. And we're not going to really go into those questions or anything. And like I said, I'll link all the videos below so you guys can go and see some of the gameplay and like some of the things that they were showing off in the actual video instead of just looking at my face while I'm talking to you about it. If you're interested, of course. But the big thing that kind of came out of this, in my opinion, was the console update. That was a kind of a huge thing. So it is coming to console. They actually did show off probably about like 3 or 4 minutes total from 2 different clips of some console gameplay. So they showed 7 Days to Die, Alpha 22. Not Alpha 22, Alpha 21 running on a PS5. It was pretty cool. It looked pretty good. It looked very smooth. Looked like it ran really well. It had the whole PS5 UI, and everything. They have Titanium Games, which is a company out of Australia working on the console version. They also have them helping on main game features, which I'm guessing main game is the PC version of the game. Just a weird terminology. I don't see why you couldn't have just called it the PC version, but it is what it is, whatever. But it sounds like they've been having them work on the water features. They've been having them work on a few other minor like cosmetic type things by the sounds of it. I want to know, does this mean that they're the sole proprietors of who's working on the water feature in this update? Or is there still some people from the Fun Pimps that are helping out with this water update? Because they did show off the water towards the end of this dev stream, and it's nice that it flows, but filling spots still isn't perfect. I will say that. I think a lot of the other 7 Days to Die content creators kind of echoed the same thing. So it still needs some work, but when it flows from if you dig a hole next to a lake and the water can flow across into your hole, that does look better than it did before. Like I said, they showed off some footage from the PS5. Looked good. There's supposedly supposed to be crossplay coming also. That's not going to come until Alpha 22. Games also, they showed it on PS5. It's being created kind of first on PS5, and then it will also be on Xbox Series X and S. The kind of crappy news about this is, since Telltale actually owned the rights to the original 7 Days to Die on console, people who previously purchased the game are going to have to purchase the game again, and the Fun Pimps are working with Sony and Microsoft to try and get people who have purchased 7 Days to Die previously a discount on the new copy. So that's cool. They're trying to at least work and help us out and get us a little bit of a discount on it. At least I think they said they're trying for 50% off. The reason they have to do that is just because, like I said, Telltale owned the original rights to it. They ended up winning those back through court, or buying them back through a court process, I believe. But they're essentially two separate games still at this point. So you have to buy the new one. I'm gonna try and get a discount on it for you. So I apologize to any of you college or console players that were holding out, waiting for that update to come to console. You just gonna have to buy the new one. But it does sound like console and Alpha 22 are going to be, or Alpha 22 when it comes out on PC is going to be the same as the console 1.0 version. So that's a big deal. They also mentioned that between Alpha 21 and Alpha 22, they're looking at hopefully about a 6-month window. So it's much shorter than the 1.5 years that we waited for Alpha 21 to come out, presumably. They did say that console will have at least 4-player co-op on the console version at release time. And then when 7 Days to Die goes gold, meaning fully released on PC out of early access, which is, they mentioned it, and I don't know if they meant to mention it, they just misspoke about it or what. They mentioned that that would be version 2 of the console edition, so 2.0 would be when the game goes gold, and then that would have the crossplay from PC to console. So that'll be crazy if that actually comes out. We're like 4 updates away from a gold release of 7 Days to Die and get it out of the early access hell that it's been stuck in for like 10 years now. Like did we just hear Joel, or I think it was Joel, maybe it was Rick, like misspeak? Did they just kind of word vomit and say something wrong there, or am I just kind of looking too much into what he's talking about here? I guess we don't really know. We're only gonna find out as time goes on. But that's kind of all they covered. Like I said, there was some Q&A they did at the end of the stream that I'm not really gonna go over. Sorry, this is a little bit longer of a video, guys. Kind of want to go over my thoughts, my feelings about, not my feelings, my thoughts about it, and kind of talk a little bit about what they actually came up with. So I'm excited to see what the next dev stream is. They said it's going to be with some of the artists, so I think we're going to go over some of the items that they've added in, some of the new textures and things like that. So it'll be kind of cool to see. And then they did say they got a few more, like 2 or 3 more dev streams after this upcoming one. That'll be some, I think one of them is going to be going over POIs, just a few POIs they're going to like showcase. And then they didn't mention what the last one was going to be. So hopefully we're going to look at those. Like I said, early to mid-May is what they're shooting for a release of Alpha 21. So that's coming up, guys. I mean, it's practically the middle of April already, so we got a few more weeks. I'm thinking maybe 3 to 5 weeks with what they said, if they're actually this close and on time. But yeah, that's really about it, guys. Next dev stream is this Wednesday, the 19th, right? Is that what date? What date it is? Let me see here. Yeah, Wednesday the 19th, 9 p.m. over on Lathan's Twitch. Ubar_prime. That'll be linked down below in the description, along with the videos to the first dev stream. Anyways, you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you all for coming and checking out the video. Hope you all enjoyed it. We'll talk to y'all later. Peace.